bringing both tradition and modern understanding together. He is also appreciated for his joyful style, his music, and his gift of Vedic chanting. Today, Swamiji will help us reflect on Jiva-Brahman relationship through three important Vedanta models: Abhasavada, Paricheda, and Pratibhimavada. These are the Vedantic models. This topic is relevant even now because models of awareness and consciousness are hot topics in the scientific community. The Vedantic models take into account the mind as a subtle body required and intellect, whereas the AI models don't need such a model, at least they don't take account of it. Well, it'll be interesting to see how this delineates our understanding. Swamiji then will help us understand how to overcome the illusion of limitation to discover even the higher truth of pure awareness that we are. We welcome Swamiji with gratitude and reverence.
Hari Om. Am I audible? Happy to see you all. So, before we even begin the retreat, which is starting from tomorrow, there was a request to have this session, and also particularly in an advanced topic of Vedanta. So I hope all of you have good familiarity with the study of Gita, Upanishads, at least the prominent ones, and good exposure to the teachings of Vedanta. So I'm assuming that for this particular session, I invite all of you to come forward and occupy the front rows or wherever you're comfortable. So all of us are in. We will begin with chanting of Omkara thrice and a few chants, and then we will begin the session. Take a comfortable posture. Eyes are gently closed. Pay attention to the breath. We will inhale, and as we exhale, we will start the chanting of Omkara. Let us inhale. 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 Join me in the chant. Asatoma Satgamaya. Asatoma Satgamaya Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Slowly and gently, you may open the eyes. Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. The vision of Vedanta is very lofty. Adi Shankaracharya was asked to give the essence of the Vedanta, and he presents the vision in this famous shloka that you might be aware of. And he says, I will give it to you all in just an ardha shloka, in half a verse. I'll summarize the entire essence of Vedanta. And he says, Ardha shlokena pravakshyami yaduktam grantha kotibihi. That which has been said in hundreds of texts, I shall summarize that in just half a verse. He says, Brahma satyam jagan mithya jivo brahmaiva na paraha. The truth, that which is real, is Brahman alone. The entire phenomenal world is mithya. The jiva is non-separate from Brahma. Now, more often, we appreciate the vision very intellectually. Yes, that is required. The first level of appreciation of this vision is cognitively, then making it your own, nididhyasanam, and part of nididhyasanam is also living the vision. In fact, Puja Swamiji coined this phrase, living the vision. Now, a question must be posed to ourselves, an introspective question. Do we really see Jagat as mithya? If this fact that Jagat is mithya is appreciated totally, then there is end of all problems. There is end of all problems. There is nothing to complain of, nothing to seek, nothing to establish, nothing to argue about, nothing to know. We will also sing like Sadashiva Brahmendra, who says, Sarvam Brahmamayam Re Re Sarvam Brahmamayam Kim Vachaniyam Kimavachaniyam Sarvam Brahmamayam Re Re Sarvam Brahmamayam. He says, all that is here is Brahman. I don't see the Jagat. I don't see anything else apart from Brahman. Thus, for me, what is to be spoken and what is not to be spoken? What should I say? Should I speak or should I remain silent? Should I say something about this truth or should I just be? What should I do? Sort of a monologue, internal dialogue is being presented through this verse. So if this just small fact is appreciated that this entire Jagat is mithya, a phenomenon, what more is to be said? For example, you saw a movie, probably whatever you experienced in that movie you experienced, and having experienced the entirety of that movie, and you know after the lights are on, you know that that was just a show. Now what more it is to be said about that movie? You can explain. Yes, you may say the movie was wonderful. You may give 5-star review for it. You may say great script, great acting, or worst acting, worst scenarios, etc. At the end of it is just a movie. Suppose you are unable to appreciate this fact that it was just a movie. You can go on forever by either criticizing the movie or critically analyzing the movie or deconstructing the movie or trying to understand why this happened. Why did he have to do it? Why did he have to lose all his property in the movie? Why did he have to be separated from his wife? Why did she has to leave him? Why did he have to leave her? This and that. You may always have a lot of why. So now, if you look at the nature of why, what is the standpoint that you are taking when you ask the question why? You ask why because you have at least given some amount of reality to that movie, isn't it so? We can go on asking the question why because you are wanting a logical explanation of what the blessed movie is all about. And it also implies that you have given some amount of reality to that movie. But if you can just snap out of that movie, knowing that it was just an unreal show that we paid $30 and got a ticket and then watched this show, then there's nothing more. There's nothing more to talk about that movie. Similar is our situation with reference to Jagat. The more you ask the question why, it only implies that you have given some amount of reality or whatever amount of reality you have given to that world. Because that fact that Jagat Mithya is not yet settled. If you are affected emotionally by the experiences of the world, not that human being has to be like a rock, it only implies that we have given some order of reality to the Jagat. So, why I am saying this, I want to, at the beginning, onset, I want to draw your attention to this point that all our discussions about Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara is from a standpoint of ignorance. Are you with me? Because once you cross this shore and go to the shore of the Jnani, then there is no Jiva, there is no Jagat, there is no Ishvara. All that is here is Brahman, like Sadashiva Brahmendra's song, Sarvam Brahmamayam, Sarvam consciousness. At the beginning, I want your focus on this point as well, that do not keep Brahman as some distant entity, as a philosophical abstract. Upanishad raises the question, Kim Tat Brahma? What is that Brahma? What is that Brahma? The same Upanishad answers in Aitreya Upanishad, Prajnanam Brahma. What is that Brahman? If you ask the question, the very Upanishad answers that question saying, Prajnanam Brahma. What is that Brahman? Prajnanam, consciousness. Brahman means consciousness. Be very clear about it. It makes the entire pursuit very, very easy, very freeing. Because if you associate too many conceptual things with the Brahman, you'll always be distancing yourself from that Brahman and keeping that Brahman as a philosophical abstract. So now, supply the very Upanishadic word consciousness, prajnanam, to Brahman. So now look at all the Mahavakyas in this light. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham means I, Brahma, consciousness, Asmi, I am. I am consciousness. Now let us argue about this Vakya. What can we discuss about this Aham consciousness? Can you deny that? Can you deny that the one who is denying himself is a conscious entity? No denial. That's how you make it your own nididhyasana. So, Aham Brahmasmi becomes I am consciousness. Tattvamasi, you are that consciousness. I am Atma Brahma. I am but this consciousness. Thus, Mahavakyas speak to you. It do not become a distant language. Coming back to what I said, all our discussions in the Vedanta is only in the realm of ignorance, not in the realm of knowledge. Gaudapadacharya in the Mandukya Karika very clearly establishes this fact. So why all this, so many standpoints, text after texts? Mandukya Upanishad, Mundakopanishad, Ishopanishad, Kenopanishad, Kathopanishad, Panchadashi, Upadesha Sahasri, Upadesha Saram. So many texts, for what purpose? Gaudapadacharya says, Upadeshat ayam vadaha jnate dvaitam na vidyate. All these standpoints, all these prakriyas, all these texts are for the sake of upadesha, to enable teaching. To enable teaching. Jnate, having known, once you know, dvaitam na vidyate. There is no duality. Questions are at the realm of duality alone. Now, having said that, I don't want you to not ask questions after this session. So this has to be understood. Again, another Upanishadic example. Suppose you are able to very clearly see the moon, then you don't need a book to explain where the moon is, how the moon is, isn't it so? Shaka Chandra Nyaya Upanishad. Suppose you are able to see the moon directly, then you don't need a book or any guidance to see that moon. Suppose you are not able to see the moon clearly because that moon seems to be hiding behind the tree, then you need somebody who's able to see that moon to show you where it is. Okay, look at the tree. Are you able to look at the tree? Suppose I ask you a question. You'll say yes. Then I ask you, are you able to see the branches? Then you will say yes. A question may be raised. Swamiji, we asked you to show the moon. Why are you showing us the tree? For the sake of showing you the moon, I'm asking you to see the tree. Not for the sake of establishing the tree. We are not at all interested in the tree. We are least bothered about the tree because our original aim is to look at the moon. So, I'm showing you all the tree only to point your attention towards the moon, which is very much present, seems to be hiding. That's why all of this. Similarly, the fact that we are not totally able to appreciate Atma cha Brahma, that the reality of the Jiva Jagat Ishvara is but consciousness alone. That we are experiencing our body, mind, sense complex, that ego, individuality, all of it is just a myth. All of it is just a trap. All of it is just a show. If we are unable to appreciate this fact, then alone we have all of these texts, all of these verses all of this prakriya, all of these vadas to point us to the truth. Are you with me? So, the topic for our discussion that we have chosen today is the framework for enabling our understanding. And that framework has these three vadas: avachedavada, abhasavada, pratibimbavada. So these, the Sanskrit word vada means a theory. Vada means an explanation. Vada means a framework. Vada doesn't mean argument. In the colloquial Indian languages, the word vada means argument. So, if you open Vedanta texts, you will come across lot of vada. Drishti Srishti Vada, Srishti Drishti Vada, Ajata Vada, Pratibimba Vada, Bimba Vada, all of it. Then you may ask, what is this? I thought all jnanis have written these books. Why are they arguing so much? So, a vada doesn't mean argument. Vada means a framework, a theoretical framework to enable understanding. So this is like a thumb rule for Vedanta. May you note this. Whenever you are trying to understand a framework, an Upanishad, an argument, the tatparya, the purport, is not to establish that. The purport is to show you the moon. The purport is to make you see the Brahman, see the Atma as yourself, not the framework itself. So all these vadas are like scaffoldings. So they are there to establish or to concentrate on the main thing, main stuff. Once the main stuff is over, then what do you do with the scaffolding? You remove it or you keep it aside, knowing that that is not the part of main structure. So our true goal of life is freedom. True goal of life is happiness. True goal of life is to see that I am Purnaha, I am complete, I am that consciousness. To enable this, all these frameworks are in place. A small history about the framework. Adi Shankaracharya, as you all know, has given us the commentaries on Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita and Brahma Sutra. So after post-Shankaracharya's time, discussions came about how do we understand Shankara's teachings now. So in order to explain Shankara's method or Shankara's teachings, we have two schools called Bhamati Mata and Vivarana Mata to explain Adi Shankaracharya's teachings of Brahma Sutra, because for a lay reader there may be seeming ambiguity in the Brahma Sutra commentary. In order to clarify what Adi Shankaracharya is saying, Vachaspati Mishra, a great intellectual, a great scholar, wrote the text Bhamati, which is sort of a commentary on the Brahma Sutras, and established a particular line of thought or a methodology of understanding called as Bhamati Mata, and the text itself is called as Bhamati. In fact, an interesting story is attached with the text Bhamati. It seems Vachaspati Mishra got married, and he began, after his marriage, he began writing the commentary on Brahma Sutras. And he kept on writing Brahma Sutras day after day. One day he finishes this book And then a hand comes and gives him water or thali, very Indian context. And then he looks at this hand and looks at the person who is serving him this and sees a 60-year-old lady who is serving him this. And then Vachaspati Mishra asks this lady, "Who are you?" And she says, "I am your wife." You have been so involved in this writing of this thesis that you probably have forgotten the fact that we are married. So if it was 2025, she would have divorced him long back, rightfully. Who wants to deal with a man who is busy with his own life and then not even have any time for marriage? Then you be single. Why did you get married? Rightfully, I would approve of that divorce. So he recognizes, oh my God, this is my wife all along. She has supported me all along. And he says I don't know whether he said I'm sorry, but I'm saying for the rasa of the story, probably he would have said, I'm sorry, I ignored you for all these years, but I'm going to name this book by your name. So wife's name is Bhamati. So he gives the name Bhamati to this particular text. Another mata, another great acharya called Padmapadacharya, disciple of Adi Shankaracharya, writes another commentary commentary on Adi Shankaracharya's Brahma Sutra, which is called as Vivarana Mata. Later on, by another great acharya called Prakashatman, further summary of that particular thesis was made, which totally we call it as Vivarana school. So the Vadatraya, the Abhasavada, Pratibhimbavada, Avachedavada, all these three Vadas are stemming from the frameworks these two acharyas have provided, which is the Vachaspati Mishra in his Bhamati and Vivaranacharya, which is Padmapada, one of the four disciples of Adi Shankaracharya, four direct disciples of Adi Shankaracharya. Usually a question is there in people's mind. When you see Shankaracharya's photo, four sannyasis are sitting around him. So we call it as four disciples of Adi Shankaracharya. So did Adi Shankara have only four disciples? No. He must have had many. Even a local guru will have so many disciples. So Adi Shankaracharya had many. Just prominent ones are given in this particular scenario. Now, why all this discussion? Why all this discussion? Because often we have difficulty in appreciating the Vedanta philosophy that the reality is one without a second. Reality is one without a second. Always questions are arising in our heads. Then what is this multiplicity that we see? What is this Dvaitam that we see? How? How do we explain it? I told you, go back to the movie example. If you can see the movie as something unreal, or the whole movie as the projection of the light, play of colors of light, then there is no question to ask how. Why? Similarly, if we are able to see that one consciousness sustaining this entire show called Jagat, then there is no why. But mind often, when it gives reality to the multiplicity, when we have given so much reality to the world, we often ask why. And we also ask, how did that one consciousness become many? How did one become many? We say, It's all one consciousness, but why is there a difference between me and my wife, or or many jivas or many individuals who are there? Why? We ask the question, why? So these frameworks have come into existence to explain how one consciousness seems to have become many. This word seems is very, very important in Vedanta. Sanskrit word for this is iva. Iva. The whole blessed thing is iva. Whole blessed thing is iva. As though. As though. But this vision is so ingrained in Sanatana Dharma. So ingrained in Sanatana Dharma. In my own life, I have come across common people in Indian villages who are able to say, ये सब माया है, ये तो सब मिथ्या है, idella माये, Kannada. Very easily they have the appreciation for the vision, because it is something not really studied and understood through the books. It's just there in the poetry, it's there in the poems, it's there in the local proverbs, it's there in the local grandmother's understanding. Sometimes as we become more and more complex individuals, I think we have difficulty in appreciating this vision, So, in order to explain how one consciousness, one Brahman became many, we have three explanations. Please note, one has not become many. One has never become many. Take reference of the example of cinema. From the projector is just one light which is appearing as Shah Rukh Khan, whatever is the other actors, etc. on the movie screen. The light beam has undergone no change for whatsoever. It is fundamentally light. Because we do not understand that it is light, we are seeing an actor on the screen. Because we have not understood that it is just one beam of light, you are seeing a script as though a story is continuing. Nowadays movies even come in parts, part 1, part 2, as if there is a continuation. As if there is a continuation. There is no continuation whatsoever. It's just a projection, it's just a play of light. Suppose you are not able to appreciate it and you ask why. Then I will ask somebody, please bring high school physics textbooks. How does this light beam enter a prism or a lens, and a film is there? The whole projector has a physics mechanism behind it, which is breaking the light into 7 different colors as though, and giving us the illusion of the movie. I'll explain all of it, isn't it so? Similarly, these acharyas are explaining how did one become many as though. One consciousness has not become many. It is what it is. It's our perception which is making us see many. So, in order to explain that, these vadas have come into force. Can I also have the handout? I have to see what you are given. So, 3 words that everyone is familiar in Vedanta. Is that Atul from Harvard Divinity School? Okay. 3 words that we are all very familiar in Vedanta: Brahman or Atma, Jiva, Jagat. 3 words. Now, a question often arises. If it's one consciousness, then why many jivas? Why many jivas? In order to address this concern, Bhamati, the text Bhamati, in this text, Vachaspati Mishra gives this model, Avachedavada, where he explains how one is seemingly becoming many. And often a question of Vedantin, Brahman, the true nature of oneself, is presented as free, that which has no limitation, that which has no limits, that which always exists. All these things are talked about consciousness or Brahman, about the real you. A question always arises, then why am I feeling limited? Why do I experience limitations? In order to address this concern, in order to explain it to us, the Bhamati text explains consciousness is infinite. Consciousness as such is nameless, formless, colorless, no particular location, no particular guna. It is but pure consciousness. There is no way that you can explain this, because what can be explained is what it has, whatever has guna. Now, this water bottle has a particular name, can be very easily explained because it has a shape, it has a color, it has some print on it. Because of guna, you can very easily talk about what this water bottle is. But what about consciousness? That I, you say, I am. What is that I? You are, and you are aware of your existence. How do you explain that? Very hard to explain. You can only be. That's why we have the Taittiriya famous quotations like Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasasaha. All words try to explain what consciousness is. Alas, they all fell down. All of them fell down. So let me make these vadas are not so complex as they seem. You may go into technicalities and be lost forever. Let me make these three standpoints very easy and clear so that you can appreciate the grandness of this vision. Avacheda means limiting. Avacheda means limiting. Vada means a theory. Avacheda Vada has come into being to explain how this consciousness which is infinite, seeming to be finite in our experience. This consciousness seems to be finite in our own human experience. Why is it? Why is it happening? So, the famous example which is used in order to explain this particular vada is the pot space. Ghatakasha and Mahakasha. So I don't have ghata, so I'm using lota or a tumbler to draw the conclusions of that particular vada. Now, Akasha is all around, Mahakasha. In fact, you need not even call it Mahakasha. It is just space. It is just space. Sometimes, because we have corrupted everything, we have to give adjectives to explain something. You can just call it ghee, but people often use pure ghee. Why? Because there is adulterated ghee as well. So we need to use another adjective to say pure ghee. So space. All that is there is space. Space, when it is expressing, as though expressing in the walls of this tumbler, seems to be tumbler space, isn't it so? Akasha, which has no limitations, but if you look at that Akasha in a pot, it is expressing as pot space, Ghatakasha. And if you identify with that pot space, then obviously that pot space seems congested or limited to a particular quantity whatsoever. In fact, these Vadas are not some philosophical abstracts. We have to draw a lot of life conclusions towards this. We put 4 walls and call it my home, my house, and then start complaining about that space. Either there is one category of people who say this is very small space, I have to relocate, or there are other set of Brahaspatis who say this is very big, we have to downsize. Arey, you were the one who sized it. So now you see, space is space, it has nothing to do with you. But when you identify with that space, so much is happening within. Oh, this is very big, this is small, I am unable to maintain it. All of it may be practical concerns, I am not denying that. What I am trying to say is, once you identified with that space, then all your opinions started about that space, isn't it so? Isn't it so? Now, half an hour ago, we had nothing to do with this space. But we came in. Now we feel cold in this space. Because now we have identified with this space. Take this example for what it is. If you pull example too much, then I will lose that example. So once this space was whatever it was. Once you identified with this space, Shitoshna Sudukkecha. So Shita Ushna, cold, warm. Sukha, Dukkha, spacious, congested, dim, well lit. All these categories we are projecting, isn't it so? It's not inherent nature of this space. Similarly, Akasha, consciousness, is one infinite. Brahman is infinity, infinite. But it is appearing as finite due to limiting adjuncts, due to upadhi, due to pot. Due to pot, that Mahakasha or space, great space, is appearing as pot space, isn't it so? Now, Bhamati establishes that Brahman is appearing as Jiva, universal consciousness is appearing as individual consciousness. In fact, really nothing has happened, just like the great space has not become pot space, it is seemingly appearing as pot space. Similarly, consciousness, nothing whatsoever has happened to consciousness. It is, we are perceiving it as individual consciousness called Jiva. Thus, once you limit, all problems start. In limitless, there is no problem. In limited, all problems are located. So, Avachedavada shows us that Jiva is appearing as, Brahman is appearing as Jiva because of limiting adjuncts called Upadhi, because of the walls of the pot. Now, our sadhana in this method has to be to use Viveka and separate those limiting adjuncts. The famous Nirvana Shatkam helps us in this sadhana. Mano buddhyahankara chittani naham nacha shrotra jivve nacha grana netre nacha vyoma bhumir na tejo na vayuhu chidananda rupaha shivoham shivoham. Disidentify with body, mind, transcend the body, mind, senses, panchabhutas, all of it. You, the consciousness, is here and now. Associate, identify with the limiting factor like that of the pot walls, associate it with our body, mind walls, then incompleteness is established here and now. Once you invoke the upadhi, all limitations come into forth. I will give you a practical example. You are in a beautiful scenery, Switzerland, and you take your mobile phone, take a picture, and you see the picture, you are appreciating the scenery. Then it was all nice. So far it was all nice. Okay? Then you put on the selfie camera and you want to capture yourself also with the scene. So now you capture yourself using this camera. What is there? That vast scenery background is there, and in that you, the person, is also there. Now you see the photo, oh my God, my hairstyle is not proper. You adjust, immediately adjust. Immediately adjust. That's why they said sannyasis don't adjust, remove it. Minimalism. You see, as long as you had no identification, where you were just appreciating the vast mountains, greens, which was there was no problem. The moment you put yourself in that picture and you see this limited body, mind, senses, you will start one by one faults coming forth. That person may look at the photo, be so inspired and excited. From Switzerland, they may go to book a ticket to Turkey and get hair transplant on the way home. Or go to South Korea and get all the facial correction done and come back here. Why? Why you started identifying with the problems is because the focus went from, in that limited context, infinite, vast, into limited. Similarly, Brahman consciousness is appearing as limited because you are seeing that consciousness through the upadhi of the mind, intellect, which is giving rise to phenomenon called individuality, a personality, which is jiva, because of which you are looking at this consciousness as limited. As limited. Avachedavada is a theoretical framework to explain why the infinite consciousness is seemingly appearing as finite. In fact, take the example, the famous traditional example given is Ghata, Ghatakasha, Mahakasha, pot space, universal space. Really, there is nothing called pot space. The universal space is appearing through the lens of pot. Are you with me? So it's that. All problems start with wrong identification. Wrong identification. You may know this story that Pujya Swamiji used to quote. Once in 90s, when these flats and apartments complexes started coming in India, long time back, Pujya Swamiji was invited by his devotee in Mumbai to bless a flat. So Swamiji agreed to bless his flat, and he went to bless his flat, and he was very happy. He said, Swamiji, I have paid whatever 1.5 crores for this Juhu flat. We have done the interiors, etc. Please come and bless. So Swamiji came and he asked, hey, very nice apartment. Is this ceiling yours? So that person said, no, no, Swamiji, that ceiling is not mine. That is the flooring of the first floor or second floor, whatever. This ceiling is the flooring of the top floor. Then he asked, hey, is the flooring yours, this floor yours? He said, no, Swamiji, this floor is the ceiling of the house below. Is the right wall yours? No, that is the left wall of the adjacent apartment. Is the left wall yours? No, that's the right wall of the adjacent apartment. Then what did you pay 1.5 crores for, Indian rupees for? For the space. A space was plenty everywhere. So you see that for the sake of transactions, we have to put 4 walls and call it mine, then that's how life works. But if you forget this is for the sake of transaction, for the sake of Vyavaharika, you forget the whole game of life. That's when we get stuck. That's when we get stuck with the body. In fact, as the human body ages, in one scenario, all the external things lose value. We care least about the house. We will care least, that's why we downsize. We care least about food, that's why we stock up 7 days or 23 days frozen food and just reheat. We care least about it. Probably not so much attention as what it used to be. Not so much about the clothes. There's that external things start losing value, but yet the identification will be so strong, we will be stuck with the body. Outer, we have lost the charm of outer things, but body continues to invoke your personality, ego, and call your attention each and every time. Emotional pain, psychological pain, bodily pain anyways naturally happens. After 60, every day is a surprise. Monday, back pain. Tuesday, shoulder pain. Thursday, neck pain. Friday, I changed the pillow, so I have some new pain, etc. So coming back to Avachedavada, the theoretical framework that the Bhamati Acharya has given us to how to understand this infinite seemingly becoming finite is by knowing that infinite has undergone no change whatsoever to become this Jagat or the Jiva. It has undergone no change. We are seeing all of this, what we are seeing, only because of our identification with the Upadhis. Now, how to come out of this complication? By transcending the Upadhis. Transcend the external, then transcend the body, mind, sense complex, everything one by one. What we establish is the pure consciousness. Pure consciousness. The next school, which is Vivarana Acharya, Padmapada Acharya, gave us another theoretical framework to understand how, again, infinite is seemingly appearing as finite. How infinite consciousness is appearing as finite consciousness. So, the Acharya takes the example of the mirror, thus giving us Pratibimbavada. Pratibimbavada, where Acharya says, Jiva, what is Jiva? Jiva is not a solid entity. Jiva is not a solid entity. Jiva is a phenomenon. Vedantins must understand this one particular thing. You, the personality, is not a solid thing. It's a phenomenon. It's something which is constantly changing. But the illusion that we have, as though the personality is a concrete thing. Personality is not a concrete thing. That's why your opinion about yourself has changed 100 times from childhood. Isn't it so? Isn't it so? non-Vedantic context, not in philosophy context. Suppose paper and pen is given to you to say, write about yourself. You will write few things. Suppose it was given 30 years back, write about yourself. You have written some things. Compare those two. It's as if we are talking about two different persons. Two different people. I may have remained. But all other things, look at it, how much change the personality has undergone. So, Vivarana school gives us this vada called Pratibimba Vada, where what is Jiva? How is this infinite appearing as finite? Infinite Brahman, infinite consciousness is appearing as limited, finite, as many because of the reflecting medium called mind. Because of the reflecting medium called mind. So Brahman is the original consciousness. Consciousness per se has not undergone any change because we are experiencing that consciousness in the medium called mind. It appears to be limited. It appears to be limited. And we also, in our own experience, see multiple jivas, isn't it so? Multiple reflections are there of one original thing. That original is consciousness. Multiplicity is an appearance in the medium, in the reflecting medium. Multiplicity is many in the reflecting medium. You may also ask a question, commonly asked question, if Brahman consciousness is one, why do we see so much differentiation in individuals? Somebody is highly intellectual, somebody is musically gifted, somebody is gifted with numbers, somebody is not gifted so much, somebody is gifted with making food, somebody has street smartness. How is it? It's nothing to do with consciousness. It is to do with reflecting medium. The change in reflecting medium, the mirror, reflection appears to be different. So, in my childhood, I was taken to this Mysore palace. There's a palace in a city called Mysore in Karnataka. So there they have a mirror house. So they have placed many gradients of concave and convex mirrors, I suppose, many types of mirror. So one mirror, you stand in front of one mirror, person standing in front of that mirror appears to be very tall. You go to the next mirror, your face looks distorted. Go to the third mirror, you appear very short. Go to the fourth mirror, you appear very fat, expanded. Has the bimba, the original, bimba means original, has the bimba original changed? What is changing?
Reflection.
Is reflection real? Which is real in this context of you standing in front of mirror? There is a reflection. In this whole scheme of things, you, mirror, reflection, which is the real entity? You. Similarly, in the place of you is the consciousness reflecting in this medium called mind, appears as different personalities, different jivas, with their own background, with their own gifts, with their own differences. Somebody is a very angry person, somebody is calm, somebody is... How this same consciousness is appearing in this multifarious way? Nothing to do with consciousness. It is to do with the, again, upadhi called reflecting medium called mind and intellect. So once you separate mind and intellect from the original and the reflected, then very clearly you will be able to appreciate the whole scheme of things, that the original has, nothing has happened to the original. It is only the reflection. It is only the reflection. Are you with me? So that is the Pratibimbavada, and Chit, the consciousness, which undergoes a reflection and a change called Abhasa, on the reflecting medium gives rise to this new entity called Chidabhasa. The reflection is called as Chidabhasa. Reflection of consciousness in the mirror called mind is called as Chidabhasa. So what we are experiencing as personality is Chidabhasa. That has two aspects to it. One aspect is Chit, the other aspect is Abhasa. Abhasa is the appearance. Negate the appearance or transcend the appearance, what you are left with is Chit. That's why universally everybody says I. Then what you associate with that I goes, a different story emerges. This is a common example that I often give. I think you all are in this, you must have experienced this situation. You go and to knock into somebody's door. Have you all done that at some point in your life? You go and knock at somebody's door. And there's a person inside that door. That person asks, who is it? Then what is your response? Huh? Immediate response. It's me. Isn't it so? What does it's me? In another words, if you have to put it, it's me, it's I. You can replace the word me with I, isn't it so? It's as well saying that it's I. It's I. In fact, sometimes it expresses very well in colloquial languages. There's a person on the other side of the door, you knock, and the person asks, who? And you say, Nanu, Kannada. You say, I. Telugu, you say, Nenu. The word for I is Nanu in Kannada. So you say, it's me, it's I. Then the person inside asks, hey, what do you mean by I? He doesn't say that, but the person asks, who is it? Again, it's me, Janaki, who is here. So I is a universal experience. The Chit is universal, same consciousness in everything and everyone. Associate the Chit with the lesha or remnants of mind, conscious, intellect, buddhi, memory, etc. Then you come across thousands or millions and billions of personalities. Millions of personalities. So how did one become many? One has not become many. One sun is reflecting in countless mirrors. One consciousness is reflected in thousands of crores of mirrors. So Jiva is as though reflection in the medium called mind. This is what Vivaranacharya has given, Padmapada has propounded this particular model. Now there is another Vada which is quite similar to Pratibimbavada, where there is a reflecting medium, and there is the original. So now let us take example of various pots filled with oil, and then in that various pots the moon is reflected. In various pots there is only one moon, but in these 1,000 different pots this reflection of that moon appears. You can take example of mirror also for this, or you can take example of any reflecting surface. You can take use of this. Now the original is reflected in the medium. Abhasa means reflection, appearance. So really speaking, there is nothing called Jiva. There is nothing called Jiva. It is just an appearance. It is just an appearance of the original in the reflecting medium, which you are taking it as an independent solid entity. This is what this model is establishing. So the Chidabhasa, which is the reflection formed on the surface, is mithya. It is mithya, it is unreal. There is nothing real about this personality. Nothing real about this finite jiva that we seems to be experiencing. This is what this model is explaining. A simple model where jiva is like the sun reflected on the water. Real nature of jiva is right then and there. Chit is very much present, but we lose sight of that and we are concentrating on various other things. That's why we have as if lost the original. So the Vada which is come forth to explain this is this Abhasa Vada, where consciousness is very much present, appearing as the reflection, but it is but consciousness alone. But because of avidya, because of our ignorance, we take it to be something else, just as you superimpose snake on the rope. Rajvam bhujangamiva pratibhasitam vai. Pratibhasitam vai. There is abhasa, as if appearance. Brahman consciousness is very much present as I, but it is me, because of ignorance, mistaking that reflected consciousness as an individual with a story, with a background, with lot of difficulties, this trouble, this, that, hundreds of story is all a mental spinning, a mental projection. So these three models have come in forth to explain us how this phenomenon of one becoming many has as though happened. One has never become many. One is very much one. May you appreciate this fact. This is further very systematically presented in the text called Panchadashi by Vidyaranya Swami in the 8th chapter of Panchadashi. Those of you who would like to know more and more technically about this approach, you may refer to Panchadashi to note how to appreciate one without a second through these models, where the focus is not establishing in various pots. There are 100 pots, 1000 pots, or reflecting medium, mirror. Our role is not that. Our whole in and through our focus in all these vadas, Avachedavada, Abhasavada, Pratibhimbavada, is only to establish that one has never become many. In the field of avidya, because we are giving some amount of reality to this jiva and jagat, because we are still giving reality to it, a reason is being given to explain all of it. A story of Buddha. Buddha was asked this question: "Hey Buddha, you never spoke about God, creation. How did all this creation happen? How did the karma get formed? How did jiva happen? How did Panchabhutas form? All this you have not spoken of." So Buddha says, suppose you are hit by an arrow. An arrow is stuck on your back. What will you do? Are you going to ask the question, how did this arrow come? Which direction did this arrow come from? What speed did this arrow strike me? Will you do all that, or will you just take this arrow and throw it out and treat the wound? So similarly, how we may go on asking and all of it, but the point is To see if you're seeing sorrow, if you're seeing ignorance, the way ignorantly we are operating in life, how foolishly we have made conclusions about ourselves. One point is, yes, intellect needs some convincing. That's why we do the vichara of all these vadas. But lock, stock and barrel to transcend our wrong identification. We are identifying with the home, we are identified with the car, identified with the insurance, identified with the kids, identified with other people's lifestyle, identified with what is happening in the world. So because of that, what is there is confusion and sorrow. Disidentify with all of it. What you establish is the pure consciousness. That is what all these models are trying to show us, that one has never become many. But if it seems to you that one has become many, how do we explain that? Using these three models. That I conclude this talk here. Hari Om Tat Sat. If you have any questions, the floor is open. Yes, please. Is there any mic that we can pass? Any volunteer?
Hello.
Yes, please.
Swami, in Advaita theory of Katakasha and the consciousness, so you say it's reflected, or in theory of the sea and the wave, it said the wave is a vritti or something of sea, but so everything is the same, everything is consciousness, right? So how is it coming forth? I mean, consciousness does not have any routine. It just is. So it's very confusing. That
Can you please reframe your question? I'm not able to follow.
So you said, all the Swami says that consciousness, Katakash, it's limited, and when it breaks, it's just there. But then where is gut coming from? The gut is also consciousness, isn't it? So that restriction is there. Or even in the sea and wave, the wave is also water, sea is also water, everything is water. But then why are we, what about the wave? That restriction is there. That vritti or whatever. So basically the gut is also consciousness, isn't it? Or our 5 sheets, those are also part of consciousness. So how are we differentiating those?
Okay. See, Panchakosha Viveka, the question it is asking, I think if I have to reframe your question, the crux of what you're trying to ask, is what about upadhis? We are talking about upadhis. Isn't upadhi, what is the place of upadhi? Is it consciousness or what is it? You kind of made a statement, it's consciousness also, but let me explain that. How does it appear? So, in the model of Advaita, in the philosophy of Advaita Vedanta, the teachings of Advaita Vedanta, as we move forward in the understanding the texts like Mandukya Upanishads, the entire Jagat, that Jagat constitutes this body, mind, intellect, all the upadhis, all of it is also an appearance. There's no reality to any of it. There's no reality to any of it whatsoever. But what is sustaining this whole unreal is the consciousness. Thus, the upadhi, mind, intellect, body, or the 4 walls, all of it are just mental constructs. Because we are trying to approach consciousness through these mental constructs, we are having various perceptions about that consciousness as limited, as bound, as big, small, this and that. So, in the framework of Advaita Vedanta, all of it is mithya. All of it is unreal, including all upadhis. The underlying substratum which is sustaining this whole show is the consciousness. For example, if I have to give this through a movie example, the entirety of the movie is all sustained by light. Are you with me? Now, various things, that images that you see on the screen are unreal. What is real alone is but light. Is but light. So that way, the wave, the bubble, all of it in that example are just appearances. Similarly, body, mind, senses, house, car, all of them are appearances. Nothing real to it. Did I answer your question? You may ask a question again if you want some clarifications.
Somewhat. It's still, I mean,
No, yeah, I encourage you to ask a question, yes.
because in the movie example, we say that everything is light, but that light is also, giving us different images, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what about those images? Basically, that's what I'm saying. If it's all light, so our understanding, the fact that there is an understanding or there is different image apart from light, it looks like apart from light. So that differentiation is still there.
Yeah, that's why I used you can appreciate the vadas that we presented. How consciousness, which is nameless, formless, color, no shape, anything, seems to be appearing. It's not because of consciousness, it's because of the reflecting medium. Because of that, and there is no reality to that picture. What about images? What about pictures? It's all mental constructs. You go ask a physicist, what about all this? That physicist will say it's all light. You bring a poet and ask what is about all this. Oh, this is he may write a poetry on the tree which he is seeing. Isn't it so? So, because one is approaching from an absolute standpoint, another person is approaching from a vyavaharika or a transactional standpoint. So, that's where the variation is. So, you apply these models and you see that pictures, what about pictures? What about pictures you're asking is same as what about those reflections in this pot, that pot, etc. What about the reflection of sun on the lake? What about that space inside of the pot? So, because we are approaching things through the lens of upadhi, filter called mind, we are giving reality to various things.
So there is no, basically, we just have to understand that there is nothing to reflect. There is no moon, there is no God, there is nothing to reflect. It just is. That's where we are going.
Yeah. Na bhumir na toyam na tejo na vayu na kham nendriyam va na tesham samuha anaikantikatvat sushuptyeka siddha tadeko vashishta shivah kevaloham tadeko vashishta shivah kevaloham tadekah avashishtaha, that which remains, having negated all of it, I am that consciousness alone. Alone.
Swami, extending on her question, why is this we ignorant? That's, I think, the crux of that question.
Why is
this we which we are trying to differentiate?
what is we?
You say we are.
Okay.
That we,
The personality.
that personality. Why is this personality ignorant when
when the consciousness is not ignorant?
Mhm.
Why did we get this ignorance?
Mm-hmm.
I
Because
think
you
that's
cannot
basic.
realize.
Yeah.
Once you get realized, your ignorance is gone.
Naisargikoyam ayam adhyasah, Shankaracharya in the Brahma Sutra Bhashya. This is how the setup is. Naisargika. This is how the setup is. Everybody comes with a fixed deposit called avidya. That the beginning of it cannot be traced, but there is definitely an end for it.
Yeah.
There is definitely an end for it.
So don't ask why.
Swamiji, thank you very much for coming again, and thanks for the clear explanation of these different approaches that we take. You explained about Jiva and Jagat. It's easy to resolve relatively compared to Ishvara.
Mhm.
Right? When we talk about Ishvara, just like how we diminish ourselves into the small pot, there is also a big sense of exaggeration, and
Mhm.
also supported by our scriptures.
Mhm.
And then it's easy to surrender to Ishvara.
Mhm.
And then resolve Ishvara into consciousness. Is
Mm.
that what
Yeah.
expectation is?
True. So there are 3 levels of approach. Srishti Drishtivada, Drishti Srishtivada, Ajatavada. Srishti Drishtivada, we see this vast Srishti. Please note, the starting point is a common man's experience, an ordinary mind. We had no guru, no shastra, no Vedanta at some point. Isn't it so? You start the journey somehow, by some grace, you inquire, you may come and sit in one of the classes, suddenly some interest develops. So you're approaching this vast world. What has been your conclusion so far? Yes, all of this world is very solid. This is solid, this is solid. My house, my car, my life, my husband, my wife, my kids, my story, my wealth, my aspirations, my desires, all of it. This is how we were approaching. Now, how to understand? Now that person also, with all this in background, wants to understand something also about life. Wants to understand what is this whole world, what is God, what is this Jagat, who am I? With all these aspirations, desires, me and mine, everything intact, we asked a question at some point. So Srishti Drishti Vada comes in and explains, hey, look, you are seeing a Srishti. There is Srishti and you have the Drishti of it. You have the sight of this whole creation. One consciousness, Brahman, with association of Maya Shakti, getting the status of Ishvara, created the entire phenomenal world. Or creation will become a loosely used word, we'll say manifestation. So we give the example of gold becoming ornaments. Gold and ornaments. We give the example of pot and clay. To make sense of this whole Jagat, that there is a power higher than you which has manifested this entire Jagat. There seems to be an order in all of it. There seems to be a higher power. There is a framework of karma. There is a framework of birth, rebirth, death, all of it. It helps us make sense of our life to start with. Again, not really compromising on the vision of Vedanta that there is Brahman, the consciousness, one without a second, projecting this entire manifest universe. We give this model for understanding. Again, the point is to establish Brahman as the Jagat Karanam. Because our understanding of world as real is so strong. Yes, this world is so strong, and we all grow up with watching Puranic movies. So if there is a creation, there has to be creator. And we had so many misconceptions about that creator. We thought, what were the stories that we were taught? There will be Narayana on the Milky Ocean and creating this universe. So whatever movie had greatest impact on you, that will be your conception of creation, isn't it so? Or whatever grandmother's story was most powerful, that has got our way of looking at creation. So this is established because we had so much misconception about Karanam, and we will be stuck there. So this model is given of Srishti Drishti. Temporarily, Srishti is as though accepted, not given ultimate reality, but Srishti as though for some amount we accept, yes, there is all this around and you are seeing it. So we establish that. Then we move on to Drishti Srishti Vada. A Vedantin is led to Drishti Srishti Vada. A student is made to see, hey, you're saying all this, look, you see an object does not exist if you are not present. Originally we started saying you are seeing because something is. That's why you are seeing. Then we move on to this Vada called Drishti Srishti Vada. Hey, look around. There is the world because you are seeing it. It is you are not world dependent. World is dependent on you. Only when there is an observer, then there is observed. We have moved miles ahead in our understanding. I will give you a practical example to illustrate this point. I was never a coffee, tea person or anything. I mean, I never say that I'm a coffee person. That's again attachment of personality, coffee, everything. Okay, just for the sake of example. The personal example, I never was drinking coffee a lot or this, that, nothing. Once in a while, okay, if there is a coffee around, then I'll have coffee. So some time back, coffee was introduced into my life. Okay? Until then, coffee as if was a non-existent entity in my life. I had no conception of what coffee is. Just if somebody gives coffee or I happen to make, then their own coffee. When there is now coffee was introduced, now I know medium roast, I know light roast, I know dark roast, I know Starbucks blonde roast, I know pour over, I know cappuccino, I know espresso, I know what else, mocha pot. All this, and I know now Robusta, Arabica. I know washed process, honey process. All these things, where was it? Until I got involved, until I observed, even though all this was, you may say all this was present, it all came into being only because I projected. Only because I projected. So Srishti is there only when your Drishti is. Only when the observer is first fixed. From Srishti, the attention now is shifted towards observer or Drishti. Now, certain conclusions are made. You, the conscious entity, the world is just a projection in your mind. That's what is established through this model. Then finally, we are taken in Mandukya Upanishad, the 4th chapter, Alatha Shanti Prakarana, example of firebrand is given and shown. That firebrand, or you take an agarbatti, or like in Diwali sometimes we use sparkles, etc. And then you keep drawing the pattern to it. You keep drawing in it. And then a pattern is formed, isn't it so? A pattern is formed, isn't it so? So universe, the Jagat, has no being. It has its place just as that pattern drawn by that firebrand or agarbatti. There is really no creation, no dissolution, no sustenance. All that we are experiencing is just a mental category. We are taken to that level. So, this is a natural progression. Nothing to complain, nothing to categorize people or anything. This is how the blessed thing is. We find comfort in resolving at the level of Srishti Drishtivada, in Ishvara, in order, in prayer. Take use of that model, nothing wrong. Then appreciate it all as the projection of mind, Drishti Srishtivada, take it to that. Finally, one has to come to appreciate that where is universe? Where is movie? Where is this whole movie? It's just a projection of light. There is no movie. It's just play of light. There's no movie whatsoever. When did the movie start? 9:05. Did movie start at 9:05? No. Movie was sustained till 11:05. Was movie sustained till 11:05? Movie got dissolution. Srishti Sthiti Laya. Laya of the movie happened at 11:07. Did movie become Laya at 11:07? Nothing has happened. So we come to appreciate that. Did I answer your question? Yeah.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Namaste. This is the same old question.
Mm-hmm.
Because Advaita Vedanta deals with Jiva and Brahman. And of course they say Maya. Maya is Brahman and Jiva. And if you Jiva and Jagat taken out, it becomes Brahman. Knowledge is there. I've heard this many times. But again, you go home, your house burns, you lost all your money in the bank. How do you handle all that? Of course, if you are really mature and understand and think that, oh, everything is Maya, how do you handle? That's where I stop.
Yeah.
I just have to forget about that and deal with the life.
Yeah.
The marketplace is very hard. Having this knowledge is going to help to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're really that much detached,
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to hurt at all.
Mm-hmm.
But how to reach there, I mean, for normal people, you
Yeah.
keep on trying until you die, you try. And then they say, oh, you have 1,000 more lives to learn. So you keep on learning.
Very important question, a very practical question. That's what I said, living the vision. In fact, it's not an impossibility. Time and again, if you really look around, a lot of people, through whatsoever, either they have a great spiritual insight or a great strength in life, or somehow they fundamentally know the mechanics of life, they're able to live this vision. Do not even go too far. Just look at your own young adult son or daughter's life. They come across a challenge and they say happens and move on. Yes or no? But the way a 60-year-old, 70-year-old generation handles the same problem is startlingly different from how a 23-year-old is handling it. They'll say, yeah, what can I do? Yes, I'm disappointed. Yes, they have to move on. They go on.
Accept the pain and
Yes.
learn to let go.
They move on. They go. That is one. Second thing, in Vedanta, in our Vedantic standpoint, you don't need big theories. You don't need Brahma Sutras. Simple appreciation of this fact, life is a phenomenon which is constantly changing. Life is like a movie which is constantly happening. But the moment you say it has to go this way, then there will be disappointments for sure. This movie has to go in this way alone, this script alone. And I am the script supplier. This has to go according to my script. The moment you bring in that, then you are no more, you have lost the charm of life, you have lost the play of life, and all our concentration is only on this script. So we may read tens of texts, attend hundreds of retreats and classes and all of it, but as long as we are holding on to the script, this has to be this way. This has to be this way. Then nothing is going to change. Our approach to life is not going to change. Nothing is going to change. This is, I share my personal example. This was one of like those aha moments in my own life. So I was quite fond of this thing. What is that? Having different water glasses, various sizes. There is this tall glass, short glass, no alcohol ever. There is this glass, this, that, and all. Just had a probable interest in these glasses. So I was once putting some glasses which was newly bought into the cabinet, and then the glass fell down and it broke, and it disturbed me at that point. Oh my God, I lost a glass which was new, which was intentionally purchased. It was looking nice with a set of 6 or 12 whatsoever, this thing. And then I looked at, the box was very much next to that broken glass on the floor. The box was printed in bold letters. Can you guess? Fragile. Fragile. So, I being disappointed with the broken glass is an antithesis to life itself, because I am the one who paid money to buy a set of glasses which are marked fragile, and now what am I expecting it not to break? Now you put fragile label on entire Jagat. You put that fragile label on entire Jagat. That is understanding the fundamental mechanics of life. Our friend said acceptance. Yes, this is how you accept life as fragile. Every aspect, anything you see as a sadhana, I mean extreme sadhana, I can recommend. Go buy a label maker, put labels on your entire house, all that you own as fragile, 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 including here. Now you tell me what can disappoint us in life? Something broke. Yes, of course it breaks, because its nature is to break. Sun stops communication. Of course, at one or the other day it was bound to happen. Daughter stopped the equation the same way it used to be. Of course it was to happen one or the other day. What else were you expecting? Because including relationships, that's where the most disappointments come. Including that is fragile. Now add it to career, add it to money, add it to everything else. Fundamentally, because it is phenomenal. It is phenomenal. So our friend asked the question, how do we bring this wisdom into practical day-to-day living? By taking this insight that all of this is, from today's discussion of 3 Vadas, there's no reality to any of that you see. It's all a reflection. It's all a shadow. It's all a play of lights. Or take Gita point, Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityuhu, Shri Krishna. That which has birth will have an end as well, fragile. That end is fragile. Look at it from that standpoint, problem is handled. Did I answer your question?
In other words, it is unreal.
Yeah.
It is only an appearance.
Yes. More and more we are able to appreciate life like a movie. less and less will be our reaction to events of it. You were to ask a question.
My question is, yeah.
So my first question was not really a question but a statement, which you have answered quite well, was I used to struggle with this explanation of Vedanta that everything is unreal, it's all nitya, jagat is nitya, and I used to say that it appears so physically, relevant and tangible.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I have now, through listening all this time, realized that it's in the projection of my mind, and one of the examples that was given by Swami Sachidananda was, if you are deaf, then the world of sound doesn't exist for you. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist because your indriya is not catching that, it doesn't exist. Or if you're blind, the whole physical world doesn't exist for you, right? It's not that it physically doesn't exist, but you don't perceive it. So that aside, my question is more related to the Khatavada and the Abhyasavada, the examples that you have given of the reflection in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
I've been listening to these examples for years now, explaining the reality of your consciousness versus the Brahman and the Jiva. And I find them very clever, but simplified to some extent of the reflection of the moon and the ghatas. It doesn't mean that there are multiple moons, but if you have 1,000 pots, you're going to see 1,000 reflections of the Chandrama. But my question is related to those moons. They don't interact. They are not. They're not transactional. But the human body or the jiva is transactional, right? So each of us has sort of its own life in a way, in transactions based on our karmas and all the complexity. So it doesn't appear as simplified as the reflections of the moon, right? So I sometimes think about that and feel that is Vedanta.
Nice question. I got your question. Thank you. A nice observation. In fact, the answer is very much just hidden behind your question. Yes, sometimes ghata, pata, and we call rope and snake, all these seems like a simplified examples. In fact, recently we had Thanksgiving retreat in Arshavidya Gurukulam. So then one of the participants said in they were sharing their experiences, what their learnings and reflections was from the retreat. So one person said, Swamiji, you were the first Swami who did not give pot clay and snake rope example. So they are not the quintessentials of Vedanta in a way, but that was in another context I shared this example, this story. Now let us appreciate that from the standpoint that you are taking. Yes, when the reflection of the moon is in the waters of the pot, they're in that context, they're not interacting, they're like kind of not as sentient as what we experience in humanity, etc. Now look at it as same consciousness being expressed, being reflected in multiple life forms, multiple individuals. Now, by saying that, we are not simplifying the conflicts which are there. We are not simplifying the complexity which arises. We are not trying to water down the complexity of human life. We are not trying to do any of it. We very much acknowledge all that complexity, multifarity, which is there in the human interactions when this one is appearing as many in the context of thousands of crores of individuals. We are not discounting it, but approaching from first person's view, having understood this, then we consciously will water down all our experiences. अरे इसमें क्या है, इसमें क्या बड़ा बात है? Same consciousness reflecting in all all others, and then because of the medium of mind and intellect, she is behaving the way she is behaving. He is behaving what he is behaving. But fundamentally, I will honor each and every one, because they are also reflection of the same consciousness. But I will have my own mechanisms with dealing with people. No objection to that. Maybe we may do it with more compassionate way. And all these multifarious things that seem to be reflecting in life of people, aspirations, goals, complications, market, governments, policies, all of it are just these reflections, need not be taken so seriously. They're not real. Unreality of all of this can be more and more seen from our own life examples, need not be deriving it from abstracts of reflection of moon. In the context of life, all these spaces that we are coming across, this and that, all of it, just our mental projections. There is no reality to it. Thus, we water down the whole overwhelming life. It won't overwhelm us anymore. Situations will not stop. It will lose its power to control me, to affect me. Same with reference to people. All of it. That's how we can take the very example from a first person standpoint to kind of dilute the whole of life experience, because then there is no shoka, there is no moha when we approach from this standpoint. There is life, that something is happening. Something is happening. Did I answer your question?
Yes, in a way what you're saying is change your perspective of how you look at life, right? And so the dukkha and sukha don't have any hold on you.
Yeah.
It's not that they don't exist and they don't exist in everybody's life, but take it as another reflection, and don't let it upset you or
overwhelm you. Yes.
And don't let it have a meaning in your life, in a way what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just how I look at it.
Yeah.
As an individual versus it exists or doesn't exist.
Whole change in perspective.
Yeah, just a change in perspective.
This really what we have discussed today. If we can approach life like this, it would just be whole different perspective. It's like, you watched a horror movie and you had all those shocking experiences, scene 1 to scene 2 and all of it. Okay. Now you have watched that movie. Your friend asks you to watch that movie again. So because of force, you go with your friend to watch that movie again. Now, are you going to be having the same reaction to all of it? Because you have seen it, concluded, and known that it's just a cinema. You know all of it. You have cracked the patterns which happen. Similarly, having analyzed life through the lens of Vedanta, we can very clearly see the pattern. What is that pattern? I want something. If it doesn't happen, I will be disappointed. That's all is the pattern. That's all is the whole plot of blessed life. What else? So now, nothing will take us for a roller coaster ride in life, because we have cracked the fundamental pattern of it through the understanding of Vedanta. Did I make it a little more clearer?
So, I'm going to ask you sort of a devil's advocate question.
Sure.
What are acharyas and all so clever and so insightful that they created this whole perception to help people deal with disappointments and dukkha in life?
So, I mean, are you looking at it as a model to?
Yes. What I'm looking at is this the algorithm to let common people deal with all the calamities and dukkhas and sukhas in life?
This is the real algorithm which frees you. Yes, Vedanta never denies that it's all an algorithm. Upadeshat ayam vadaha, it's all a methodology. But are you now putting me into a new trip? No. See yourself that it frees you. See yourself that it frees you. So, no doubt, it's all a model, it's all a method, but not one of those methods of the world which binds you more and more, one after another. This is a method that frees you ultimately. So, that's why people often ask, so isn't desire for moksha, desire for freedom also another desire? No, it's not yet another desire, because this is a desire which frees you from all other desires. Looks like a desire to be free, desire to know, desire to have moksha. But finally it's not desire per se, because it frees you from the very desire itself.
And moksha is just this understanding.
Yes.
Moksha is just this understanding
Yes.
that nothing is permanent, nothing is real in a way. Right?
Yes.
That's just moksha, just knowing this.
Yes, as simple as that. See, we have made life so complex that we have stopped valuing simple things. Bhartrhari, a great poet, great Vedantin, laments in his Vairagya Shatakam, alas, sahajam na rochate, khatinam na pachyati. Alas, people have lost their flavor for simple and they do not have power to digest complex things. So, Vedanta is just this simple insight. But because we have made life so complex, somewhere mind might have a supposition that maybe it cannot be this simple. Maybe we will have to sit in Himalayas and meditate for 10 years. Maybe have to chant Vishnu Sahasranama 24,000 times. Whatever, we kind of think that it cannot be this simple. Yeah. Yes, please.
So, I think a lot of this discussion probably answers what an observation I want to make and then extend it into another angle. So this Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana is a cycle that keeps improving, and then I'm learning more, and as I hear more, I understand what I thought I understood in one philosophy, next time in my next cycle, the other Vada seems more understanding, and I think progress further. So in this umbrella of Advaita, where we have these three Vadas, are close in Advaita. Now I want to extend it further and talk about Advaita. And Ramakrishna Paramahansa, I believe he practiced even some Kashmiri studies activities. So he was bridging Advaita. So in all this progress, what I feel is Shravana, Madana, and Nididhyasana is a cycle which is individual for each person, and the path can take you Advaita, and later on you may think, to me Advaita is the way to go, where I feel most comfortable. But there is no set path. Is that, I mean, it blends, it blurs over time, and then is it reasonable to think that way?
I would sort of discourage from too much generalizations. Rather than that, I would try to, I invite you all to focus on the individual path. Because ultimately, Adhyatma means that which concerns oneself. So, let us examine how my own journey is unfolding. I might take help of japa, I might take of Kashmiri Shaivism, I might take help of puja, I might take help of pilgrimage, I might take help of karma yoga, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, and see how it is working for yourself, rather than generalizing it for everyone. So I would look at it that way. So see what fits in your life. Then if something is working, why not? Suppose you borrow a meditation method may be outside of Vedanta Sampradaya, but that seems to be relaxing the mind, that seems to be helping you, that seems to be helping you progress in your own clarity. Why not? So, that way, yes, there cannot be one set path, one size fits all. In fact, the glory of Hinduism, glory of Vedanta is it's not one size fits all. It's the most broad platform that can ever be. The orientation is of that of growth. You grow. There is this vast amount of sadhanas in Hindu Sanatana Dharma. The hues available are countless. Whatever you want to use, use. Only keep examining, am I growing in clarity? Am I growing as a person? So that way, Mahatmas' lives like Sri Ramakrishna, etc., we can take as people who have been dedicated not by the narratives, popular narratives set by the society, but a path which is carved where one is intentional, one is deeply involved in one's own spiritual growth. So that's how we can take examples from the lives of Mahatmas. Did I answer your question? We are at 12:06. I have time. If you have time, please, we can extend it for another 5-7 minutes. Yeah.
My barrier to understanding Jagat as Nitya is why are there such perfect laws of physics instead of everything being random? And how do we can send instruments into outer space, collect data of other galaxies, and create AI? So, why isn't everything more random?
2-3 aspects of your question. One is, suppose, let us assume that laws of physics are perfect. Why should that establish reality of something? Why should defined pattern, perfect in what we call precision, establish truth of something? First, that is one part. Second part, please think in this direction. The way quantum mechanics and the modern researches and breakthroughs in physics have happened shows only that, like, the patterns that we are really seeing, there is no perfection, no pattern. It's all indicating more and more chaos and more, so much more that we do not know about the universe, the mechanics behind. So, whatever the technology front we may be inventing and all of it, yes, it is giving rise to all of it, every phenomenon. Today, I read or heard somewhere, anything that human mind can imagine, probably it will come out in technology. It's just matter of time for a few more years. Anything that most weird thing, imagination, it may become a technological reality in some more time. So these things we need not use them to establish reality of the Jagat. Jagat may have, suppose, a perfect laws, perfect physical, that it has to be real. Real and unreal, our approach towards it is from a totally different standpoint. Think about it in this direction. Yeah. Take one of the paradigms that people take. Such a stunning flower, such a stunning puppy, full of life, all of it. So world is real. We cannot conclude the reality of world based on beauty, based on physics. From your or unreal, will conclude here. Sorry, we will extend it probably in tomorrow's. Tomorrow we are starting. Yeah, tomorrow day after session. Yeah, tomorrow and day after session, you can ask the question. Even if it is related to today's discussion, you may ask in tomorrow's session. So tomorrow we are starting at what time?
8 o'clock.
We are starting at 8 a.m. So I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Join me in chanting Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah. Sarve Santu Niramayah. Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu. Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.